Maxwell Edison, majoring in medicine, calls her on the phone. Can I take you out to the pictures, Joan? But as she's getting ready to go, a knock comes on her door. Bang, bang, Maxwell's silver hammer came down on her head. Clang, clang, Maxwell's silver hammer made sure that she was dead. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Pete Lemaster Music. I am super excited to bring you this song tutorial. We are going to cover Maxwell's Silver Piano for a solo player on piano. Now, if you have a band or you're looking to sort of cover it on guitar, this lesson certainly applies, but we'll be doing it on the piano. That's certainly the predominant instrument you hear during the song, so you can get a really, really accurate version of this song just by playing the correct chords that the band is playing, and then obviously singing the songs over top. So that is the tutorial we're gonna do. In this video, essentially, the entire song breaks down to verse, pre-chorus, and chorus. The song is not very complicated. There aren't super long extended solo parts. We are going to talk about what you can do on the piano in kind of the bridges, because after every like bang bang Maxwell's silver hammer section, there's obviously a little bit of a funky like synthesizer section that the Beatles do on, it's actually called a Moog synthesizer. It can make some really funky sounds, and obviously if you're a solo piano player, you're not going to be doing exactly that. So we'll talk about a few options that you can do in those sections. But the core of the song is 3 verses where we talk about the various murders of Maxwell, which is kind of dark for a Beatles song, but such a jaunty tune, it barely matters. So let's just jump right into it. The 3 verses are all exactly the same. So if you learn these chords and you learn the order in that they go, you can sort of start experimenting yourself with what you like most for the bass line. But so for the verse, and those are the ones that start with Joan was quizzical, studied metaphysical, and then the second one was back in school again, Maxwell plays the fool again, and the third one is PC 31 said we caught a dirty one. So those are the 3 verses we're talking about here. They all start off with kind of 2 beats on a D major chord here. So D major, which is going to be the D, and then middle finger will want to play this F sharp, and then your pinky, or I guess you could do ring, but pinky is pretty easy, up on the A chord. And then for root note with the left hand, I kind of like alternating this D, but it actually sounds really good if you just play the octave 2. And then also if you're a total beginner and playing 2 notes or alternating is hard with the left hand, just play this 1 D with your thumb. It's pretty easy. But so that's just that chord gives us Joan was quizzical. So Joan was quizzical. In total, you're gonna hit that chord 4 times with your right hand, kind of on quarter notes. And then every other beat, you're gonna wanna play the root note. So Joan was quizzical. And then the second chord is a B7. So same action with your left hand. Pretty much the whole song, those are the options you're gonna do with your left hand, is either alternate root notes or play them as an octave. Or if you're a beginner and that's kind of scary a lot for you, you can just leave your hand basically right here, and you're gonna just need like D, D, B, B. Okay, so those are the 3 options for the left hand. I'm gonna mainly focus on the chords we're making with the right hand now. So Joan was quizzical. Then we're gonna go to a B7. Studied metaphysical. So for that, it's B, and then D sharp, and then that F sharp again, and then your pinky, you've really gotta hit this A to get the proper sound. If that chord kind of scares you, it still sounds really good with a regular B major. But the real sound in the song by the Beatles is B7. So B, D sharp, F sharp, and then A. And you're gonna have now with those 2 D. And I would practice moving between those two chords. That's a very common movement in this song. So Joan was quizzical, studied metaphysical. And then we get to come up to an E minor, which is a really easy chord, right? We're just playing the E with our root, and then up here, it's every other white key starting on E. So we have E, G, and B, all right? And that is Science in the Home. So it's twice as long as the first two. So we have Joan was quizzical, studied metaphysical, science in the home. So in total, it's 8 quarter notes with your right hand and a total of like 4 pulses with your left hand. Whatever you're deciding to do with your left hand. We're not going to talk about that too much. And then we come down to the next chord, which is an A7. And it's going to also be 8 notes. So just like the E major, A7, which is A, C sharp, E, and then G. So getting the pinky with the G is what makes it a 7, and it sounds really, really good. A little bit ominous, but also it's a major chord, so kind of pleasing. And that would be late nights all alone with her test tubes. So from the top, I'll say the chords as we play them. So D major, B7 major, E minor, A7 major. And then a nice finish is the Joan is just, it's back to the 4 beats, which is what those first 2 chords were. And it's D major, which is where we started, remember? So Joan, and then A major. So it's just like the A7 where it's, but now you don't have to hit that G, so it's an even easier chord to play. It's just Joan. And so from the top, each half of it is D major, B major 7, E minor, A major 7, D to the A. And that right there, you're already like, you have 90% of the verse, which plays 3 times throughout the song. So we're nearly halfway done with the entire song, okay? So that entire thing loops twice. It's Joan was quizzical, studied metaphysical, science in the home. Late nights all alone with her test tubes, Joan. And immediately back through the same thing. Maxwell Edison majoring in sorry, I messed it up. Maxwell Edison majoring in medicine calls her on the phone. Can I take you out to the pictures, Joan? So that's the whole verse. It's that cycle we just covered through 2 times. And now we do this thing called the pre-chorus. It's a little bit slower. It's kind of builds into the bang, bang chorus. So this pre-chorus, you kind of pick apart an E7. You could just play an E minor 7, actually E major 7. But you can almost hear Paul McCartney if you pick this chord apart. You can almost hear him going, as she's getting ready to go. So I think it's a really lovely thing, even if you're a beginner, to sort of dissect this E major 7 chord, because you can just sort of hold an E with the left hand, and you can do, as she's getting ready to go. Okay, so those notes that I'm playing are a D. So you may have noticed all the 7 chords so far kind of have had this note at the top of the chord. So kind of the highest note in the chord we've been turning into a 7 chord. But all we're really doing is playing the note that's a whole step back from the root. And I don't want to get too music theory here, but so to make an A and A7, all we have to do is add this G, which is a whole step back from our A. So it would technically be an A7 if we played this G as well. They're both A7 chords. So what we're doing for the E7 chord here is we're actually playing this D before the E. So it would still be an E7 if we did it up here. And in fact, we do hit that E7, but we start with this D, okay? So it's D, E, and then this is G sharp, D, E, G sharp, B, D, and then back down. So D, E, G sharp, B, D, and then kind of quick back down. So as she's getting ready to go, and then you're gonna end on the E. So that little section is, you've just finished the chorus verse twice. Joe, as she's getting ready to go, and you're just holding this E the whole time. You're kind of letting it build up. And now we're gonna play that A7 that you should remember from the verse. So, and it's now you just kind of have to feel it, because it's not exactly dissecting music in a traditional way. It's sort of like a knock comes on her door. So for these, it's not that quick from the verse. It's much more of a build-up. So it's like a knock comes on her door. So it's almost like you want to play 3 half notes, or 2 half notes and then a whole note. If you're a classically trained musician, you can sort of think of it that way, but this part is very much feel. So you're doing an A7 with A's in the root, and I kind of like playing just one A for the first one. A knock comes on her door. So that's enough right there if you want to go into the bang bang Maxwell silver hammer part. But what I think really takes this the extra mile is if you can do a bass walk up into that. So a knock comes on her door. And for that, when you play the third A7, sort of start on the A, but do A, B, C sharp, and then D. So a knock comes on her door, bang, bang. And that way you're already at the D with your left hand, and you've just clearly transitioned from pre-chorus into chorus, okay? And so for the chorus, you start with this really, unless you have an anvil player, and if you have someone dedicated on the anvil, you've got a killer band, but maybe you prioritized the wrong things first. You have to kind of simulate the hammer sound with this first note of your chorus. And to do that, I recommend just hitting pretty hard, like up until this point. It's sort of a laid-back, jaunty tune. For this one, you really want to hammer your strings. So it's a D major, just like we've had multiple times throughout the song, definitely in the verse a lot. You start with a D major, and you just do 2 hard hits, 2 taps on that like quarter beat. Bang, bang. And then you want to kind of slip back into the verse rhythm, because you really want to emphasize the bang, bang. So it's D, D, Maxwell's silver hammer came. So it's that really just popping D, D, and then you sort of glide up until down upon her head. And then that's the E7 that we had in the pre-chorus, okay? So I think maybe what would be good is to do the pre-chorus and then how it leads into the chorus, and then we'll finish teaching the chorus. And then you've pretty much got the whole song, okay? So we have this, okay, so Maxwell Edison, majoring in medicine, calls her on the phone. Can I take you out to the pictures? Joan. But as she's getting ready to go, a knock comes on her door. Bang, bang, Maxwell's silver hammer came down on her head. All right, so all you saw there were the 2 chords that I talked about, which was we had the walk up, bang, bang, Maxwell's silver hammer came, and then E7, so D major, E7, down upon her head. And then this is the second walk down I really like with the bass notes, head. So you hit the E, D, C sharp, B. And then you're at A7. And so the second kind of hammer noise, right? We had bang, bang, Maxwell's silver hammer. Then we have A7, clang, clang, Maxwell's silver hammer. Okay, so bang, bang is D, D, and then you stay on the D until you get down upon her head, E major 7, down upon her head, walk down, A7, clang, clang, Maxwell's silver hammer came. And now this is probably the fastest you need to be able to transition chords in the whole song, but you're playing this A7 and it's clang, clang, Maxwell's silver hammer made. And now it's E minor. Sure that back to that A7, she was dead. Okay, so E major, or E minor, sure that she was dead. So you really want to be comfortable going from your A7 up to E minor, back to A7, and then D. And that's how you get that. It's really like, it's a funny way to end your chorus, right? Like, sure that she was dead, but it bounces around a fair bit. So clang, clang, Maxwell's silver hammer made sure that she was dead. So it's still not the world's fastest transition, but you do have to get comfortable with those different chord shapes in that sequence to be able to end your chorus properly. And so I think let's do the entire chorus from the top. So you have, as she's getting ready to go, as she's getting ready to go, a knock comes on her door. Bang, bang, Maxwell's silver hammer came down on her head. Clang, clang, Maxwell's silver hammer made sure that she was dead. Okay, so what we've covered in total is the start of a verse, all the way through the verse, pre-chorus, and then chorus, all right? Which on piano is actually the whole song. But if you're a big fan of the song, which is probably why you clicked on this tutorial and why you've watched this long into the tutorial, is because you know there's some funky sections in between where they kind of like do solos and they have like synthesizers. And if you've seen the documentary Get Back on Disney Plus, you know, for a little bit they were even like whistling in there. They were like... And so I want to talk about ways to get back into the next verse kind of naturally when all you have is a piano, because you probably don't have a crazy like Moog synthesizer. Unless you're super adept on a keyboard, you probably can't like quickly switch into like a string section or a synth section or something. So if you've just finished the chorus, you've just done a full verse, a full pre-chorus, a full chorus, and you want to get back into the next chorus, I think the easiest thing you can do that sounds really good on the piano is essentially we're going to play all of the chords that are part of this song in just a walk down. So you want to start with the D major, dun, and then a B major 7, and then A7, and then actually throw in a G major in this inverted position. So you have the G up here, and then the B and D. And then you can do a quick little left-handed walk-up. So in total, that sounds like you're finishing the chorus. So like clang, clang, Maxwell's silver hammer made sure that she was dead. Dun, 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 bum, 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 bum. And then you can go straight back into back in school again. Maxwell is a fool again. Teacher gets annoyed. And you can do that by doing this nice bum, 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 bum. And that's also probably the best way to end the song when you're totally through all 3 verses and all 3 choruses. So in total, that's really all you need for the whole song. It goes straight into a verse, so there's not like any complicated opening or anything. There is a fairly complicated section of like arpeggios that Paul McCartney actually said he wasn't able to play, so he had their producer, George Martin, play it on the recorded track. So if you can't play it either, don't feel bad about it. But there's like a section where there's a section where to be honest, I can't play it, but they do really fast arpeggios, and if you're amazing, then you can do those too. They use it as a transition between choruses. If you want to throw in some whistling between as a transition, you can do that too. And basically, just when you finish your chorus, just start like you're starting another verse, but instead of going straight to singing, you can just so you can almost do like the first part and the last part of a verse and whistle over it, and that's a nice solo transition as well. So as the solo pianist, you kind of get the liberty between the chorus finishing and the next verse starting, and you can do whatever you want in that time. It's really up to you, and any of the chords that we covered in this song will actually sound pretty good in that space. So if you're just playing to jam with friends or family or impress someone on a date, let's say, then maybe you've learned plenty right here, but certainly you can spend all day thinking up fun ways to transition between different verses and choruses. But I think we have covered the entire song. So if you have any questions about what you saw in this video, or recommendations for what songs you'd like to see covered in future videos, or musical topics or concepts you'd like to see covered in future videos, be sure to let me know about in the comments below. Don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. That sort of stuff helps me out a ton. This is a pretty new channel, and I would love to have some growth. So I really appreciate everyone watching. I appreciate all constructive feedback. Until next time, have fun jamming. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your songs. Thanks. Bye.